Let's go Browns! There's been some buzz around the web recently, so if you enjoy in-depth coverage, scoops, and all things Cleveland Browns, hit the like button right now and subscribe to the channel. We've got a lot to discuss today, so let's start with a big one. The Browns may be looking at life after Deshaun Watson sooner than expected. This isn't just a wild theory. The idea is gaining traction as Watson's future with the Browns looks uncertain, especially after suffering that devastating Achilles injury that could sideline him until the start of the 2025 season. If Cleveland wants to prepare for a future without him, the question is, who's next? Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward are some of the top names being bandied about. But here's a surprise pick you probably didn't see coming: Indiana Hoosiers quarterback Curtis Rourke. Damon Wolf of Dawgs by Nature has identified Rourke as an intriguing potential target for the Browns in the upcoming draft. Rourke has turned heads this season, leading Indiana's explosive offense. He's racked up 2,140 passing yards, 21 touchdowns, and just 4 interceptions while completing an impressive 71.8% of his passes. Talk about efficiency. Rourke's story is also quite interesting. He spent 4 years at Ohio State before transferring to Indiana, and now, at 24, he's shown enough talent to be on the NFL radar. Wolf highlighted his size and mobility, saying, "His size is the first thing that stands out, but that doesn't make him an awkward athlete. He's made some impressive throws early on." Browns fans, could this be a viable plan B or C for the quarterback? This is where it gets even more intriguing. Rourke isn't projected as a first-round pick, which means the Browns could address other pressing needs, like our battered defensive line, with their first pick and then come back to Rourke later. Imagine using our first round to shore up protection and then taking a promising QB in the middle rounds. It might not be as flashy as a top-5 QB pick, but it could be a practical approach given our roster needs. So what do you guys think? Is Rourke a name worth keeping an eye on, or should the Browns stick with higher-profile options like Sanders or Ward? Switching gears a bit, let's talk about a couple of former Browns who are making waves around the league, specifically Baker Mayfield and Kareem Hunt. Josh Cribbs recently criticized the Browns for letting these guys go during an episode of The Return with Josh and Maria Cribbs. And honestly, he has a point. The Browns' 2024 season has been brutal. We're 2-7, injuries have decimated our roster, and now we're watching former players thrive elsewhere. Baker Mayfield is having a strong season with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, showing the kind of stability and leadership we've been hoping he'd develop here. Meanwhile, Kareem Hunt is making plays for the Kansas City Chiefs, carving out a key role behind their running attack. Cribbs didn't hold back, saying, "I think this whole room was against letting Kareem Hunt go. I'm happy for him. I was happy for Baker Mayfield. Is it wrong for me to be happy for these guys?" No, Josh, you're not wrong at all. We're Browns fans, and we feel the pain too. Mayfield's time here was turbulent, sure. But watching him succeed elsewhere while our QB situation is in disarray hurts. As for Hunt, we knew he had talent, but with Nick Chubb in front of him, he never really got a chance to shine. Now, he's proving what he can do when given the opportunity. This isn't about rewriting history or saying Cleveland should have done things differently. Hindsight is always 20/20ths. But it does make you wonder, did we move on too soon? And are we about to go through another painful roster shakeup if things don't improve quickly? What do you think about Curtis Rourke and Cribbs being right to let Mayfield and Hunt go? I want to hear what you think, so leave a comment. Now let's talk about Cedric Tillman's rise, what went wrong with Deshaun Watson, and some potential big changes in the front office. First, there hasn't been much to celebrate this season, as the Browns are 2-7 through their bye week. But amid all this turmoil, there's one bright spot emerging: Cedric Tillman. Now, I know what you're thinking. It's been a tough season to even think about positive things. But Tillman's performance lately has been one of the few reasons to smile as a Browns fan. Remember when Randy Moss praised Tillman as one of the best wide receiver prospects to enter the league in the last 15 years? It seemed like hot air at the time. But Moss may be onto something. Ever since the Browns traded Amari Cooper to the Buffalo Bills, Tillman has had a real chance to shine. Just look at his 2-touchdown performance recently. This kid was buried on the depth chart, but now he's proving he's ready to step up and deliver when given the opportunity. It's clear that Tillman has started to develop real chemistry with Jameis Winston. He has the makings of a legitimate starting wide receiver in the NFL. For a former third-round pick, that's saying something. He's big, he's athletic, and he's showing flashes of being a dangerous weapon downfield. The more reps and targets he gets the rest of this season, the more he can become a central piece of this offense. Browns fans, can you believe the Tillman hype? This season was supposed to be about Watson rediscovering his superstar form and leading this team to a playoff run. Instead, injuries have hampered him and the team. Watson's Achilles rupture effectively ended our season, and even before that, he looked like a shell of his former self. Of course, the offensive line wasn't doing him any favors, battling injuries left and right. But Watson was dropping passes, failing to capitalize on scoring opportunities, and ultimately not looking like the franchise QB the Browns paid for. To say the Watson experiment has failed would be an understatement. It's been an anchor dragging this team down. Analysts like Dave DiNatale believe someone in the Browns front office will have to take responsibility for the disastrous Watson deal. Whether it's Paul DePodesta or Andrew Berry, someone is going to take responsibility, DiNatale said. Both DePodesta and Berry signed that huge, guaranteed contract for Watson. Sure, they've done a good job in other areas, finding talent on the fringes, making strategic moves, but this deal is an albatross, plain and simple. This raises a big question. Will ownership be willing to clean house and move on from this mistake? Or will they stick with the current regime and try to weather the storm? Let us know in the comments. Should anyone be held accountable for the Watson deal, or is it a matter of circumstance? Speaking of harsh realities, Hanford Dixon didn't mince words when discussing the Browns' future with Watson on the Hanford Dixon Show. He said, "We have to face reality. Deshaun is still on the books for about $75 million a year. That's right, Watson's contract is still a huge burden, and getting rid of him isn't easy. Unless the Browns are willing to sacrifice even more assets and draft picks, there's no easy way out of this situation. The best course of action may be to eat another painful year and focus on resetting for 2026. It's a tough pill to swallow, especially with Jameis Winston projected to start the rest of this season. He's a temporary solution at best. The Browns need to decide if they're ready to commit to a painful rebuild around a few promising pieces, or if there's a silver lining to save the day. Browns fans, what do you think? Are you ready to stick with Watson for another year, or is it time to explore drastic options? Alright, Browns fans, that's today's video. From Cedric Tillman proving Randy Moss right to the seemingly never-ending Watson saga, it's been a wild season. But we're not going anywhere. Hit the like button if you're still with us, subscribe if you haven't already, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Go Browns!